All right, today we're diving into a true marvel of bioengineering, something that has completely changed daily life for millions: insulin aspart. We're going to break down how one tiny strategic change to a single molecule created a faster, way more effective tool in the fight against diabetes. Let's jump in.
So here's the game plan. First up, we'll look at the single molecular tweak that makes this whole thing possible. Then we'll see how that one little change unleashes some serious speed. From there, we'll explore how it's actually used day to day. And finally, we'll cover the crucial safety info and see how it stacks up against the other options. So, you gotta ask, right? How can changing just a few atoms completely transform a medicine? It sounds kind of impossible, but that is the absolute secret behind what makes insulin aspart so innovative. Okay, first things first. It's really important to get that insulin aspart is what we call an insulin analog. This just means it's not natural insulin. It's actually engineered in a lab using some pretty cool recombinant DNA technology. You can think of it as human insulin, but with a very specific, very purposeful upgrade. And here it is. This is the magic trick. In the protein chain of regular human insulin, you have an amino acid called proline at this one specific spot, B28. For insulin aspart, scientists just swapped it. They took out the proline and put in a different amino acid, aspartic acid. That's it. That one single substitution is the reason for everything we're about to talk about. Okay, so that tiny tweak we just saw, it wasn't just for show. It was engineered for one main purpose: speed. And this is where we get to see how that molecular change turns into a huge advantage for patients. And the result is, well, it's just incredible speed. Insulin aspart gets to work in only 10 to 20 minutes. It hits its peak power between 1 and 3 hours later, which is perfectly timed for that blood sugar rise right after a meal. And then it's mostly out of your system in 3 to 5 hours. This quick in, quick out profile is exactly what you need for mealtime coverage. So how does it actually do that? Well, after it's injected, regular insulin molecules, they like to kind of stick together in these little clumps of 6, which are called hexamers. Now, they have to break apart to get absorbed, and that takes time. But remember that aspartic acid swap we talked about? It basically makes the molecules less sticky, so they break apart into individual molecules way, way faster, which lets them get absorbed into the bloodstream almost right away. So the bottom line is this. That whole mechanism is precision engineered to fight one specific thing: postprandial hyperglycemia. That's just the fancy medical term for that big spike in blood sugar that happens right after you eat. Insulin aspart is designed to meet that spike head-on, right when it happens. Okay, so we've got the science down. Now let's talk about what this actually looks like in the real world. How is this incredible tool put to work in daily diabetes management? It's a real workhorse used in 3 main ways. Its number one job, by far, is as a mealtime or prandial insulin. Because it's so fast, it's also the perfect insulin for use in those continuous insulin pumps. And finally, it's used for what are called correction doses. You know, if someone's blood sugar is unexpectedly high, a quick dose of aspart can bring it back down fast. And this right here is a total game changer for quality of life. The timing is just so much more convenient. Instead of having to wait 30, even 45 minutes after injecting, a person using insulin aspart just needs to take it 5 to 10 minutes before they eat. This allows for so much more spontaneity and flexibility around meals. It's a huge deal. Now, you should know that insulin aspart almost never works alone. It's the bolus part of what's called a basal bolus regimen. Think of it like a team. The bolus, which is the aspart, covers the meal. But it's paired with a long-acting basal insulin that provides a slow, steady background supply all day long. Together, they do a great job mimicking a healthy pancreas, and that's why this is considered the gold standard of care. We've seen how powerful it is, so now we have to talk about the other side of the coin, the really critical safety information and, how it stacks up against the other options that are out there. Okay, the number one risk with any insulin, and that includes aspart, is hypoglycemia. That's low blood sugar. It can happen if a dose is a little too high or maybe a meal gets skipped. Things like shaking, sweating, and confusion are all signs that you need to act fast. It is absolutely the most common and the most serious side effect to be aware of. Of course, there are other potential side effects, like low potassium or rarely allergic reactions. It's also really important to know about something called lipodystrophy. That's where the fat tissue can get thick or lumpy if you inject in the same spot over and over again. And that's exactly why rotating injection sites is so important for making sure the insulin gets absorbed properly. And this is a really big one. It's vital to know that other common medications can have a huge impact. Some drugs, like aspirin, for example, can make your blood sugar more likely to drop too low. Others, like corticosteroids, can actually make the insulin less effective. This is why having a conversation with a doctor about every single medication you're taking it's absolutely essential. So why all the fuss? Let's just put it side by side with the older stuff, regular human insulin. Regular insulin could take up to an hour just to start working, which meant you had to plan your life around a 30 to 45-minute wait before eating. The convenience and the precision of Insulin Aspart's fast action is just a night and day difference in managing a daily routine.
It's also good to know that Insulin Aspart isn't the only kid on the block. It's part of a whole class of these rapid-acting analogs, including others like Lispro and glulisine, and they all work in a very similar way. A lot of times the choice between them just comes down to practical stuff, like what a person's insurance will cover.
So think about that. By changing one single amino acid, scientists created a tool that gives people with diabetes so much better control and so much more freedom. This level of molecular engineering has completely changed the game. It really makes you wonder, what other conditions could be targeted next with this same kind of incredible precision?